So I'm going to take you through how I created this Crochet Bauble Christmas card. The card itself is just a rustic brown colour, and as with the other cards in this range, it's just short of 15 centimetres square, but you can use any card that you've got available. The crochet hook I'm using is a 2.75mm, and the yarn I've got silver, green and red in the C Brett Twinkle range. Now the gold one is actually Knit Fever from Hobbycraft, so slightly different in that it's got small sequins within the yarn. So we're going to start off with this smaller silver bauble. So if you take your silver yarn, and we're going to start off by chaining 3 stitches. So make a slip knot onto the hook and then chain 3. So that's 1, 2, 3. And we're going to be working into the first chain that we made. So we're not going to work into the one next to the hook, nor the middle one. We're going to work into that first one there that we made. So if you yarn over hook, insert that into the first chain, then yarn over and pull through, and then yarn over and pull through, and that's your first half treble crochet in UK terms, or half double crochet in US terms. So we're going to be working all the way around this circle into that first stitch, and the 2 chain that we've got from the beginning is going to count as our first half treble stitch. So I'm going to put a stitch marker not in the stitch that we've just made, but you'll see the 2 chains that you made initially. So there's one, there's the second one. I'm just going to put the stitch marker in the top of that chain so that we can find it easily when we've worked all the way around. So we've got the 2 stitches from the beginning there. We've got the first half treble crochet that we've made. So we're going to continue round making half treble crochets into that first chain that we made. Okay, and again, so it's yarn over, insert into that first chain, yarn over, pull through, then yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on the hook. And then again, yarn over, insert into that first chain, yarn over, pull through, and then yarn over, pull through all 3 loops on the hook. So we've now got 2 chains and then 1, 2, 3, 4 half trebles. So that counts as 5 half trebles we've made. We need 12, so we need to do another 7. So if you want to do another 7 half treble crochets into that first chain space, and I'll meet you back at the beginning. Okay, so now I've got back round to the beginning. I've got my 12 half treble crochets. I've just pulled on that tail end yarn slightly to close the hole in the centre, and now I'm just going to slip stitch into the top of the second chain we left from the beginning to just close up that round. Okay, so that's the first round completed. We're now going to do another round of half treble crochets around the edge, but we're going to increase on this row. So for every stitch we're going to do 2 half treble crochets to give us an increase in every stitch. So we've got 12 at the moment. The next round, when we complete that, it will be 24. So if we chain 2, that counts as our first half treble, and then in the stitch next to it we do a half treble. So that's our first increase. We've got 2 half trebles there. So we're going to do 2 half trebles into the next stitch. So if you yarn over, insert into that next stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through all three. So that's the first one in that stitch, and we'll do another one in that same stitch. So we've got 2 in that next stitch, so that's an increase. Now we'll move along to the next stitch, and again we'll do 2 half treble crochets. That's 1 and that's 2. So there's our increase in that next stitch. Okay, then we'll move along to the next stitch and we'll do another 2 half treble crochets. 1, 2. Okay, so if you want to work around the outside edge, 2 half treble crochets into each stitch, and I'll meet you back where we started. Okay, so I've worked my way around and I'm back where I started. So I've counted up and we've got 23 half treble crochets plus the 2 chain we made at the beginning, which counts as 1 half treble crochet. So we've now got 24 that we've worked round. So we're going to slip stitch join into that 1, 2, into the top of the second chain that we made when we started, and just slip stitch in there to join the round. And then we're going to fasten off our yarn because that's the size of the bauble that we want. So if we just pull that through to fasten it off, tie in these yarn ends, just so weave them in just to get rid of them out of the way. And so we just weave it, thread it through some stitches at the back, probably about half a dozen, just to tuck that in. Now I'm going to be gluing this bauble to a card, so that will help make sure it stays in place. So I'll just do the same with that one. Just weave that through some of the stitches on the back. Okay. So now we're just going to work on this gold bit at the top. So take your gold yarn, insert the hook anywhere on the edge of this bauble. Grab the yarn, pull through to the front. Okay, now I'm going to chain 1 and then insert the hook into that same stitch, grab the yarn, pull through and make a double crochet or a single crochet if you're working in US terms. And then, so that's the first stitch. In the next stitch I'm going to work another double crochet, that's 2, and in the next stitch along another double crochet, that's 3. And then I'm going to chain 1, turn my work, and I'm going to work double crochets back along these 3 stitches. So that's 1, 2, oops, I think I've got a sequin in the way there. Okay, that's 3. So that's all we do for the gold element at the top of the bauble. So I'm just going to cut that off and pull it through to fasten off. And then sew in these ends. just pull them through on the back. Again, we'll be gluing this onto the card, which will help to keep these ends in place. So okay, so that's the first bauble ready to go onto the card. So next we will move on to the red one, which is made with treble crochet stitches or double crochet stitches if you're using US terms. Okay, so for the red bauble, we're going to start with a chain of 4 stitches. So slip knot onto the hook, and then chain 4. So 1, 2, 3 and 4. So this, we're going to work into this first chain that we made, again like we did with the silver bauble. So these 3 chains are going to count as our first treble crochet stitch. So to make a treble crochet stitch, what we're going to do is yarn over, insert that hook into the first chain, yarn over again, pull through. So we've got 3 loops on the hook. We're going to yarn over, pull through 2, that leaves 2 on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2. So we've got our 3 chain that counts as a treble stitch, and then we've made 1 treble stitch. So we're going to make the next one. So yarn over again, back into that first chain, pull the yarn through, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2. So we'll do another one, yarn over, insert into that first chain space, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So we've now got the 3 chain at the beginning, which counts as 1 treble. Then we've made a further 3 trebles, so we've got 4 stitches now made. We need a total of 12, so I'm just going to carry on working these treble crochets into that first chain until I've got a total of 12, which will include the 3 chain from the beginning. So if you want to continue working round, and I'll meet you back where we started. Okay, so I'm now back at the beginning where we started. The first 3 chains that we made that count as our first treble crochet. So we've got 1, 2, 3. I'm going to slip stitch into the top of that 3rd chain to join the round. So that's the first round complete. So for the next round, we're going to do treble crochet increases, or that will be double crochet increases if you're using US terms. So what we're going to be doing is 2 treble crochets into every stitch around, so we'll have 24 when we've completed this next round. So to start off, we chain 3, 1, 2, 3, that counts as our first treble stitch, and then we're going to do a treble stitch in the stitch at the side. So there's our first 2 trebles, increasing that first stitch. So we're going to move on to the next stitch now, and again we're going to do 2 treble crochets into this next stitch. So that's 1, 2, and in the next stitch we'll do 2 treble crochets. So that's 1, 2 in that same stitch, and in the next stitch we'll do 2 treble crochets. So that's 1, 2. So we're going to continue working our way around and putting 2 treble crochet into each stitch. So by the time we get to this end, we should have 24 treble crochets, including the 3 chain that we started with, which will count as 1 treble. So if you want to work your way around, I'll meet you back at the beginning. Okay, so I've got back to the beginning and I've slip stitch joined into the top of the 3rd chain that we made at the start of this round. And now I'm just going to weave in the ends. Just again through about half a dozen stitches, just to tuck that yarn in. And the same with the other one. Okay, so now I'm just going to use the gold coloured yarn to make this element of the bauble, just like we did when we made the silver one. So 2 rows of double crochet in 3 stitches, anywhere around the edge of the bauble. Okay, so for the star embellishment on this bauble, I've just taken a strand of the gold yarn and starting from the centre top, I've just inserted between those 2 rows and leave a tail on the back, and then it's just a case of stitching into the middle, pull that through, not too tight because you don't want it to disappear into the red, and then I come up through the bottom, back into the centre, and then to the side, the centre again. So I'm working from the outside edge in to the centre. Just to give that star effect. You can make these patterns any way you want to. It doesn't have to be a star, it could be lines, it could be small crosses. Okay, so nearly there. So that's the last one. And then all I'm going to do with the yarn on the back is just take the needle off. I'm just going to tie those 2 ends together on the back and just snip off. And I'll just make sure to put the glue over the top of that join when I stick it to the card. So that's the red bauble completed and the silver bauble completed. We're now going to work on the green bauble. So with our green yarn, make a slip knot, onto the hook, and then we're going to chain 8. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and we're going to start in the 2nd chain from the hook. So miss the first one, and then in that 2nd chain we're going to start by doing a slip stitch. Okay, so that's the first slip stitch. So I'm just going to put my stitch marker in there so I can find it when I get back round at the beginning, to the beginning. So in the next stitch we're going to do a double crochet, which is a single crochet in US terms. In the next stitch we're going to do a half treble crochet, which is a half double crochet in US terms. The next stitch we're going to do a treble crochet, which is a double crochet in US terms. And then in the next stitch we're going to go back to a half treble, and then in the next stitch a double crochet. In the last stitch we're going to do 3 double crochet, so that's 1, 2, and 3, and then we're going to work down the other side of the chain. So in the next stitch along it's a double crochet, and then in the next stitch a half treble, in the next stitch a treble crochet stitch, and in the next stitch a half treble, in the next stitch a double crochet, and then we are back at the beginning where we started with our first slip stitch. So we're now going to work 2 slip stitches into that first stitch there, and we're back at the beginning. So if we remove that stitch marker, now we're going to do a single crochet all the way around. So in the first stitch, it's a bit tricky to see that. So in the first stitch, we do our first double crochet, and then in the next stitch, another double crochet, and we're just going to do double crochets into each stitch all the way along until we get to that centre double crochet at the end from the previous round. Now in that double crochet we're going to work 3, so 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to continue working double crochets into each stitch down this side of the bauble. So we just continue working along double crochets until we get to the other end. So I'm going to put a double crochet in that last stitch, and then I'm going to slip stitch to join to that first stitch. Then we can cut our yarn and fasten off. So that's the main part of the green bauble. So I'm going to just sew these ends in. Get them out of the way, just thread them through the back of the stitches. Same with the other one. Okay, now I'm going to use that as the bottom because that's more of a pointy end. At this top end, I'm going to make this part, but we only go into 2 stitches for the green bauble. So I'm going to find the 2 stitches at the top that I'm going to use, insert the hook, so grab the gold yarn, pull it through, chain, and then insert the hook into that same stitch, grab the yarn, pull it through, and make a double crochet stitch. So that's 1. In the next stitch, push the hook through, grab the yarn, pull through, and the second double crochet stitch. So we're just going to use 2 stitches at the top of this bauble. So we're now going to chain 1, turn our work, and work 2 double crochet stitches back along into the 2 stitches from the previous row. So that's 1, and that's 2, and that's the gold element completed. So we'll cut off the yarn, pull the yarn through, and fasten off. So I'm just going to thread the yarn ends through. This will be stuck to the card again, so you don't have to weave it in too much. And the second one. Okay, so I did embellish with some lines on this one. So if I get some of the gold yarn, okay, thread the yarn onto the needle, and then wherever you want your embellishment to be. So I'm going to do the centre first. So I'm going to go from the top down to the bottom centre, just loosely, and then I'm going to do a couple of lines, smaller lines either side. You can again do these embellishments however you want to. You could put little stars on there, you could have horizontal lines. Okay, so there's my embellishment for the green bauble. So I'm going to tie these ends off. And then just cut the yarn. And I'll make sure to glue over the top of those ends so that they don't work loose. So there we've got our 3 baubles ready to go onto the card. So again, I'm using this Hi-Tack all-purpose glue. I've got the brown card and some silver lettering that are just these peelable silver outline words, which I've just stuck on the bottom. You could handwrite a message if you wanted to. I just prefer to use these, and I'm just going to stick these baubles on. I think that's about right for where I want them. So if I take the glue, I'm just going to put a dot on that on the back. And then I'm going to stick that into place. So if I do the silver one next, again, just around the edge. Oops. Okay, that's the red and the silver. And I'll just put some glue on the back of the green one. Pop that in place. So for these hanging pieces, I'm just going to put another blob of glue under where the gold is, put that yarn into place, and then stick that, press that down. So I'm going to do the same with the red one. Just put a blob of glue there, put that into place, and then squash that down. Now this this glue does dry clear. So once it's all dry, you won't be able to see the glue. And then if we do the same with the green one, another little blob, put the hanging yarn down and stick that into place there. Then I'll run a thin strip of glue from the top of the bauble to the top of the card, and then press the yarn into place and tuck it over the inside of the card, and then you should end up with a card like this. So this is the third card design. I've got a total of 7, so watch out for the other YouTube videos coming online very soon, and I hope you enjoy making these.